The moment you start thinking like a leader, not a worker, everything in your life begins to shift. Most people wake up every morning just to survive the day. They follow instructions, wait for approval, and hope something changes. But nothing changes when you think like a worker. Workers wait, leaders move. Workers ask what needs to be done. Leaders ask what needs to be changed. This audiobook isn't about leadership roles or job titles. It's about a mindset, one that puts you in control of your actions, your direction, and your growth. If you're stuck in routines, tired of repeating the same patterns, or feel like life is happening without your permission, this message is for you. You'll learn what leaders do differently, how they think, how they decide, how they show up, and more importantly, how you can apply those same principles today, no matter where you are. Don't just work through life, lead it, starting now. Chapter 1. Think for impact, not for instructions. You know, life has a way of opening doors for the people who think beyond the job in front of them. There is a difference between someone who waits to be told what to do and someone who wakes up each morning asking, "How can I make things better today?" Thinking like a leader is not about having a title. It is not about standing at the top or giving orders. It is about how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and what you decide your life will become. When you think for impact, you stop moving through the day like you are simply clocking in and clocking out. You start acting like your daily actions matter, because they do. Every small choice builds a life, a reputation, a future. Most people live on automatic. They follow instructions. They wait for permission. They play small not because they lack ability, but because they never trained their mind to see beyond the moment. A leader thinks differently. A leader thinks about consequences, about vision, about growth, about influence. A leader asks, "What value can I bring?" This is not ego. This is responsibility. When you begin to think for impact, you stop asking, "What do they want me to do?" and start asking, "What difference can I make here?" Some people think leadership starts when someone gives them a position. The truth is, the position only rewards what you have already developed inside. If you spend your days waiting for someone to tell you what to do, you remain dependent. Your growth stays limited. Your future stays controlled by someone else. But when you decide to think like a leader, your world opens. You become someone who moves with purpose. You speak with intention. You do not wait for someone to save you or guide you. You take responsibility for your life. Start by noticing your habits. When you face a problem, do you freeze and wait for direction, or do you think, "How do I solve this?" When you see something that needs improvement, do you walk past it, or do you step up? Leadership lives in these moments. Every time you act with ownership, you strengthen your mind and your future. Every time you avoid responsibility, you weaken your potential. A leader does not run from responsibility. A leader runs toward it. Thinking for impact means seeing yourself as part of something bigger. It means realizing your work is a reflection of who you are. Some people only work hard when someone is watching. They only bring effort when someone is checking on them. That is not leadership. True leadership shows up in private. It shows up in the way you carry yourself when no one sees. It shows up in the pride you take in your actions. If you expect more from yourself than anyone else expects from you, you begin to move like a leader. And let me speak to your emotions for a moment. Life can be tiring. Life can feel heavy. Some days wake up and you do not feel strong. Some days you feel behind. Some days you feel unnoticed. That is normal. But thinking like a leader means you do not let those feelings control your direction. You acknowledge them. You breathe. You stand up again. You say, "I will not shrink. I will not abandon my growth." Leaders feel fear. doubt, stress, pressure. They are human, but they respond with courage and responsibility instead of running away. That is what separates them. Think about your family, your friends, the future you want, the person you hope to become. Imagine carrying yourself with calm strength. Imagine people trusting your words because you speak with clarity and you follow through. Imagine walking into a room knowing you do not need permission to be valuable. When you choose to think for impact, you build that version of yourself little by little. Every day you lay a brick. Every day you make progress, even if it is slow, even if nobody praises you. Leaders do not work for applause, they work for purpose. So how do you start practicing this mindset today? First, pay attention to your thoughts. Notice when your mind goes into passive mode. Notice when you wait too long. Ask yourself simple questions. What needs to happen here? What is the best decision for the long run? What will help others grow? What will move this forward? These questions shift you from task mode to leadership mode. They sharpen your thinking. Second, speak like a leader. Leaders speak with calm confidence. They ask thoughtful questions. They offer solutions instead of complaining. Complaining is easy. Anyone can complain. It takes no intelligence, no vision, no courage. A worker mindset says, "This is not my problem." A leader says, "How can we solve this?" Speak in ways that lift people, not drain them. The tone of your voice and the words you choose show whether you think like a leader or not. Third, act with discipline. Leadership is not loud, it is quiet consistency. Wake up with intention, set goals that push you, stay on track even when you feel tired. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect. When you follow through on your plans, your confidence rises. You start believing in yourself. Confidence is built, not granted, and every disciplined act strengthens your belief. Fourth, build awareness. Notice how people feel around you. Leadership means awareness of others, not just yourself. When you think for impact, you notice who needs encouragement, who needs guidance, who needs clarity. You give attention, you listen, you care. Strong leadership is not force, it is influence. People follow someone who truly sees them. They resist someone who only commands them. Fifth, keep learning. A worker mindset stops growing once the job feels familiar. A leader mindset stays curious. Every day offers something to learn. Read something that improves you. Practice skills that matter. Ask for feedback. Growth is not automatic. It comes from effort. The world rewards those who evolve. If you stay the same, you fall behind. If you learn, you rise. And here is something personal. Do not think leadership is about being perfect. It is not. Leaders make mistakes. Leaders get frustrated. Leaders have days they wish went differently. But leaders do not hide from hard truths. They adjust. They improve. They take ownership. When something goes wrong, instead of pointing fingers, say, "What could I have done better?" That mindset will change your life. Some people say, "When my situation improves, then I will think differently." It does not work that way. Your situation improves when you think differently first. Opportunity follows responsibility. Advancement follows effort. Growth follows intention. If you want more from life, give more to life. Not in a way that drains you, but in a way that builds you. Every strong leader once stood where you stand now, unsure, learning, stretching. But they made a choice to think bigger, a choice to show up fully, a choice to develop character before status. You can start right now. Look at your day. Look at your goals. Look at your habits. Decide that from today you will not live like someone waiting to be guided. Decide you will live like someone who guides themselves. You do not need a title to move like a leader. You need commitment. you need intention, you need courage, and you already have these inside you. They are waiting for your decision. Your future depends on the thoughts you choose today. Every morning, ask yourself, will I follow the crowd or will I rise? Your life deserves direction. Your dreams deserve strength. Your voice deserves confidence. Thinking like a leader means believing your life has meaning and acting in ways that honor that belief. Think for impact, not for instructions. Think for growth, not for ease. Think for responsibility, not approval. If you do this, you will not only build a stronger life for yourself, you will become someone others trust, admire, and learn from. You will feel pride when you look in the mirror because you will know you built yourself through effort and intention. You will stand tall not because someone handed you authority, but because you earned your strength. Start today. Think for impact. Move with purpose. Grow with discipline. Lead your life. Everything else will follow. Chapter 2. Make decisions that move things forward. Every day, life presents choices. Some small, some big, but all carrying power. Most people move through their day reacting, not deciding. They wait for situations to tell them what to do. They wait for signs, for someone to show the way, for the perfect time. But life does not reward hesitation. Growth begins the moment you start making decisions that move things forward. That is the true work of leadership. To decide, to act, to move, to make progress where others pause. Every forward decision begins with clarity. You cannot move what you cannot see. Most people struggle with decisions because they do not know what they want. They hope life will give them answers while they remain unclear. A leader takes time to think about direction. They ask themselves, where am I going? What matters most? What kind of person do I want to become? Once that is clear, decisions become easier. You stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, does this move me toward my purpose or away from it? That one question can change everything. Decision-making is not about being right all the time. It is about progress. Many people freeze because they fear the wrong choice. They think one mistake will ruin everything. But indecision kills more dreams than wrong decisions ever will. When you choose to move, you gain experience. When you stay still, you gain regret. Progress comes from learning, not from waiting. A forward decision may not always lead to success, but it always leads to growth. When you start thinking like a leader, you stop chasing comfort and start chasing direction. You begin to see that every decision shapes the path ahead. You are not waiting for the perfect plan. You are creating it step by step. Leaders do not sit around asking for guarantees. They trust their judgment, their preparation, and their capacity to adapt. They make choices with confidence, not because they are sure of the outcome, but because they are sure of themselves. To make decisions that move things forward, you must train your mind to act based on priorities, not emotions. Feelings are temporary. Emotions fluctuate. But your priorities, your values, your goals, they guide you when things feel uncertain. A worker reacts to pressure. A leader responds with purpose. When something goes wrong, the leader doesn't freeze. They ask, what's next? What can we do now? That question pulls energy back into movement. It turns chaos into direction. Think of moments when you hesitated. Maybe it was a job opportunity, a relationship, a project, or even a simple personal change. You thought about it, analyzed it, waited for the right time, and the time passed. Later, you realized that thinking too long cost you the chance to grow. Now think about a time when you took action, even though you were unsure. You moved forward, made a choice, and something in you expanded. That's the power of decisive action. Every forward decision strengthens confidence. Every forward step builds trust in yourself. Leadership is not about perfection, it's about momentum. You will never have perfect information. You will never feel completely ready. But you can always move. You can always decide the next step. Small decisions shape large outcomes. Choosing to wake up earlier, choosing to learn a new skill, choosing to speak when you're quiet, choosing to face something uncomfortable, all these choices move you closer to strength. Progress doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from consistent small movements forward. A person who thinks like a worker waits for direction. They wait for someone to approve their move. They want certainty before commitment. A leader knows that waiting too long is also a decision to let life control you. Forward movement means you take charge. You learn to see opportunity before others notice it. You create action when others wait for permission. You become the one who sets things in motion. That's when people start trusting you. That's when they start following your energy. Making forward decisions requires courage. Not the kind that shouts loudly, but the quiet courage that says, "I'll try again." Courage that says, "I don't know how this will go, but I will move anyway." You do not grow courage by talking about it. You grow it by doing. Every time you take responsibility, every time you choose movement over fear, courage grows stronger. You begin to see that uncertainty is not an enemy. It's a signal that you're alive and learning. You will face moments when people around you prefer comfort. They may tell you to wait, to slow down, to not take risks. But leaders understand that comfort creates stagnation. Forward decisions are uncomfortable because they involve change. Growth demands that you step into the unknown. You will feel fear, doubt, and confusion. But if you wait for those feelings to disappear, you'll wait your entire life. Leaders act despite them. They remind themselves, it's better to walk with uncertainty than to stay still in regret. Decision-making is also about learning to simplify. Many people overthink because they mix too many opinions into one choice. They ask everyone what to do. They collect advice but lose their own voice in the process. Leaders listen to input, but they decide for themselves. They understand that no one else carries their vision. When you make your own decisions, you build your own confidence. You start trusting your instinct, and that instinct becomes your guide in complex moments. Forward movement also means accepting responsibility for outcomes. When things go wrong, the leader doesn't blame, they analyze, they learn, they improve. That mindset creates growth. Workers look for fault. Leaders look for lessons. You cannot grow while pointing fingers. You grow by asking, what could I have done differently? That question turns every result, good or bad, into a tool for progress. Progressive decisions are not just for work or business. They apply to your personal life, your health, your relationships, your character. Choosing to be kind when you're angry moves things forward. Choosing to listen instead of argue moves things forward. Choosing to take care of your body, your mind, and your time moves things forward. You become the kind of person who creates change through consistency, not talk. That is leadership moving your life, even when no one notices. When you make a habit of forward thinking, your energy changes. You begin to attract challenges, not avoid them. You see problems as puzzles to solve. You become adaptable. Life stops feeling like something that happens to you and starts feeling like something you are shaping. That feeling builds power. That power is not control over others, it's control over yourself. You become grounded, focused, and directed. Every strong leader has learned to make peace with mistakes. They know that growth lives inside trial and error. The more decisions you make, the more data life gives you. Each experience sharpens your perspective. You start seeing patterns. You begin noticing what works. You gain insight that hesitation never gives. Decision-making is not just an act of logic, it's a training ground for wisdom. You cannot learn to lead without deciding often. Many people ask, what if I make the wrong decision? The better question is, what if I make no decision at all? The wrong choice can be corrected. No choice leads nowhere. Leaders understand the difference. They act, learn, adjust, and act again. That rhythm is how progress is built. Movement creates clarity. Stillness creates confusion. The more you move, the clearer life becomes. To make decisions that move things forward, you need patience with yourself. Growth doesn't happen in one jump. It happens through repetition. You make choices, you learn, you grow. Some days you will move fast, some days slow. But as long as you keep choosing direction over doubt, you are progressing. Leadership is a long game. It's about building a mindset that never stops improving. Forward decision-making also teaches you emotional balance. You stop reacting to pressure and start thinking with clarity. When others panic, you analyze. When others freeze, you move. You develop calmness in action. That calmness comes from experience, from seeing that most challenges are not permanent. They are temporary tests that reveal your maturity. When you think forward, you stay focused on what you can do, not what you can't control. Thinking like a leader means you do not wait for the perfect condition. You build progress under any condition. You take what you have and do what you can. You make decisions with the resources in front of you, trusting that more will come as you move. Waiting for the ideal setup is a trap. Leaders create momentum first, and then improvement follows. As you grow, your decisions affect more people. Your family, your team, your community all feel your direction. When you choose wisely, you lift others. When you decide with integrity, you set an example. People remember consistency. They remember courage. They remember action. Leadership is contagious. When one person moves with clarity, others feel inspired to do the same. That is how impact spreads. You can start today. You can look at your life and identify one area that needs forward motion. Maybe it's your health, maybe your finances, maybe your relationships, maybe your mindset. Choose one thing and make a clear decision. Not tomorrow, now. A leader moves when clarity meets opportunity. That's how you build momentum. Once you start moving, life starts meeting you halfway. New paths open, new people arrive, new lessons appear. Progress attracts progress. The power of decision is the power of change. Nothing shifts until you decide. You can think, plan, dream, and hope, but life only moves when you do. A leader's life is defined not by what they know, but by what they decide to do with that knowledge. Every step forward builds trust, confidence, and growth. That is how you lead yourself and others, one strong decision at a time. So make decisions that move things forward. Do not overthink. Do not wait. Look at your situation, ask what will create progress, and act. Build your confidence through motion. Build your life through choices that count. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to move with purpose. Every decision you make becomes a brick in the foundation of your growth. Keep building. Keep deciding. Keep moving forward. That is how leaders think. That is how leaders live. Chapter 3. See problems as chances to show direction. Every person faces problems. No one escapes them, but the difference between people who rise and those who stay stuck lies in how they see those problems. Most people see them as interruptions, as barriers, as things that ruin their peace. But leaders see them differently. They see problems as moments to show direction, moments to guide themselves and others toward clarity. Problems are not signs of failure. They are invitations to lead. Every challenge brings a chance to demonstrate vision, calmness, and strength. When something goes wrong, the ordinary mind reacts with frustration or fear. The leader's mind responds with focus. When everyone else complains, the leader starts thinking. A leader doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What can I learn here? What can we do next?" This way of thinking turns obstacles into opportunities for growth. It changes the energy of every situation. People who complain drain strength. People who lead create direction. If you want to think like a leader, you have to train yourself to stay steady when things get rough. Problems reveal the truth about your mindset. When everything is easy, anyone can look confident, but when pressure arrives, your real character speaks. Leaders do not collapse under weight. They adjust, they plan, and they move forward. They show others that panic does not solve anything, but calm direction does. People naturally follow those who stay grounded under stress. You can tell a lot about a person by how they handle problems. Some people point fingers. Some people make excuses. Some people hide and hope the issue disappears. But leaders step forward. They look for facts, not drama. They look for the next step, not someone to blame. That difference in approach builds trust. Others start to see you as dependable, as someone who can find light when everyone else sees darkness. In real life, problems are constant. You can't control when they appear, but you can control how you face them. When you learn to face problems with direction, you become valuable anywhere you go. In your job, in your home, in your relationships, people begin to rely on your strength. That's what real leadership looks like. Stability and uncertainty, not because you have all the answers, but because you believe there's always a way forward. When a problem hits, your first job is to pause, not freeze, but pause. Think clearly before reacting. Most people react emotionally and make the situation worse. A leader breathes, observes, and starts piecing things together. They ask questions that matter. What's really happening here? What's the real cause? What's within my control right now? These questions move the mind from panic to purpose. Once your thinking shifts, the problem begins to shrink in size. There's always a choice in how you respond. You can choose frustration, or you can choose focus. The way you respond sets the tone for everyone around you. If you stay calm, others begin to calm down too. If you complain, negativity spreads. A leader understands the power of energy. They know that their attitude can either build momentum or break it. Direction begins with mindset, not with words. People feel it before they hear it. Leaders also understand that every problem contains hidden lessons. Some problems teach patience. Some teach discipline. Some teach communication. Some teach humility. Life uses problems as a tool to strengthen your character. If you avoid every challenge, you also avoid the chance to grow. Growth and comfort never live in the same place. Leaders welcome challenges because they understand the long-term reward. Wisdom. The more problems you solve, the more capable you become. Seeing problems as chances to show direction also means refusing to complain. Complaining makes you powerless. It sends the message that life controls you. Leaders don't complain. They take action. Even small action. Because action builds clarity. When you move, you begin to see solutions that standing still never shows. Problems only overwhelm those who stay idle. The moment you take a step, the problem starts to look smaller. In every workplace or team, problems test people. Some freeze, others get angry, but a few rise. Those few are the ones who take ownership. They say, "We'll figure this out." They take charge, not for attention, but because they care about progress. That energy spreads. Soon others start following that same focus. You can be that person. the one who steadies the group, the one who keeps moving forward even when things fall apart. Leadership in problems is not about controlling everyone. It's about setting an example. It's about being the person who holds direction when others lose it. When you stay composed, others see that they can trust you. They begin to mirror your behavior. That's how you influence people. Not through authority, but through example. Sometimes the best direction you can show is a simple decision: to not give up. Many people quit when problems grow. Leaders endure. They keep pushing when it's uncomfortable. They understand that every challenge ends. The question is, will you end stronger or weaker than before? If you stand your ground, you always end stronger. A leader sees beyond the moment. They know that pain is temporary, but quitting becomes habit. Problems are not only about survival, they are about creativity. When life limits you, it also challenges you to think differently. A leader uses pressure as fuel for innovation. They look for new paths, new approaches, new ideas. They refuse to say, "There's nothing we can do." Instead they say, "There must be another way." That kind of thinking keeps progress alive. To show direction during challenges, you must learn to communicate with clarity. People in difficult situations often look for guidance. They want to know what's next. A leader does not hide. They speak with honesty. They tell the truth about what's happening and focus on solution. Clear communication builds trust. It keeps people aligned and calm. Confusion makes fear grow. Direction makes hope grow. You can train yourself to see problems as opportunities by shifting your self-talk. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening?" say, "What can this teach me?" Instead of saying, "This is unfair," say, "This is my chance to lead." That mental shift changes everything. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a creator of your outcomes. The more you think this way, the faster you recover from setbacks. Leaders also keep perspective. They remind themselves that every big success was once a challenge. Every breakthrough came after difficulty. You grow through what you handle, not what you avoid. So the next time you face a problem, remind yourself, this is where strength builds. This is where leadership begins. This is my chance to prove my direction. When people see how you handle problems, they learn from you. They remember your composure. They notice your patience. They see that you don't panic when things break down. That kind of behavior inspires confidence. You become the person they look to in hard times. You might not even realize it, but your actions are teaching others how to lead. Every challenge also gives you a chance to refine your thinking. It sharpens your focus and humbles your ego. It reminds you that leadership is not about control. It's about contribution. Problems test how much you care. If you care enough, you'll find solutions. If you only care about comfort, you'll walk away. The more you care, the stronger your leadership becomes. One key to leading through problems is flexibility. A rigid mind breaks under pressure. A flexible mind adjusts. You might need to change your plan. You might need to rethink your strategy. But as long as you keep moving toward improvement, you are leading. Leaders do not confuse stubbornness with strength. Strength is the ability to adapt without losing purpose. When life challenges you, you also discover your values. Problems reveal what matters most. They strip away distractions and test your priorities. You learn whether you stand for quick comfort or long-term growth. True direction always aligns with your values. When you lead from your principles, even hard decisions become clear. Every time you face a problem, remember this: your reaction sets your future. If you panic, you lose control. If you focus, you gain influence. If you complain, you lose respect.
If you take responsibility, you earn trust. Direction is not something you talk about. It's something you demonstrate through choices. To see problems as chances to show direction, you must practice calm confidence daily. Wake up knowing that challenges will come, but you will be ready. The more prepared your mind is, the less control problems have over you. Preparation builds confidence. Confidence builds clarity. Clarity builds leadership. In moments of uncertainty, remind yourself that growth is happening right there. Every test you face strengthens your judgment, your patience, and your endurance. You will look back one day and realize that the very problems you hated were shaping your strength. They were molding you into the person capable of more. That realization brings peace even in the hardest seasons. A leader knows that not every problem can be fixed immediately. Some need time. Some need patience. Some need faith. But no problem should make you lose your sense of direction. Keep your eyes on progress, no matter how slow. Even a small step forward keeps momentum alive. Direction is not about speed. It's about movement with purpose. You build your reputation in hard times. When others quit, your persistence speaks for you. When others blame, your calmness sets you apart. When others lose hope, your steady energy becomes light. You don't have to be loud to lead. You just have to stay consistent. People will follow quiet strength, more than loud panic. So the next time you face a problem, don't see it as a burden. See it as a test of your mindset. See it as a stage where your discipline, your patience, and your clarity can shine. This is your moment to practice leadership. Not when everything is easy, but when everything feels uncertain. Anyone can follow direction, but a leader creates direction when there isn't any. Remember, problems are not there to stop you. They are there to reveal you, to show you what kind of person you are becoming. Every problem carries a question. Will you react, or will you lead? The answer you choose defines your growth, your confidence, and your influence. Choose to lead. Choose to move with calmness and focus. Choose to show direction where others see confusion. That's how real leaders are built. Not in comfort, but in challenge. They do not run from problems. They face them, learn from them, and lead through them. You can do the same. See problems as chances to show direction. And you will never see obstacles the same way again. You will see opportunities everywhere. And that's when you truly begin to lead your life.
Chapter 4. Take responsibility before waiting for orders. Taking responsibility is the mark of a mature mind. It's the moment you stop saying someone should do something and start saying, I will do something. The difference between a worker and a leader lies right there. A worker waits for orders. A leader takes ownership. Responsibility is not about control. It's about commitment. It's about saying, this situation may not be my fault, but it is my duty to make it better. When you live this way, everything in your life begins to change. You stop being managed by circumstances and start managing your direction. Waiting for orders feels safe. It keeps you protected from blame. It allows you to say, I was just doing what I was told. But safety is not growth. Growth happens when you start making choices, when you begin to carry the weight of outcomes. Responsibility is not a burden, it's a sign of strength. It means you have the courage to act without needing permission. People who take responsibility shape the world. Those who wait for instructions only follow it. When you take responsibility, you stop asking for approval and start creating progress. You stop waiting for someone to fix the problem and start finding ways to fix it yourself. It doesn't mean you do everything alone. It means you take initiative. You become the person others can count on. When things go wrong, you step forward, not backward. You say, let's figure this out, That energy builds trust. That attitude earns respect. Leadership begins the moment you stop saying, "That's not my job." That phrase limits potential. It keeps you small. Every time you avoid responsibility, you delay your own growth. A true leader looks at a task and says, "If this needs to be done, I'll find a way." This mindset separates those who move up in life from those who stay stuck. The world always rewards people who act with ownership. Taking responsibility also builds self-respect. When you know that your progress depends on your own actions, you start treating your time differently. You stop wasting hours blaming others or waiting for direction. You begin to think ahead. You prepare instead of react. You stay ready instead of being told what to do. That's when confidence grows, not from praise, but from knowing you can handle whatever comes your way. Most people underestimate the freedom that comes from responsibility. It may sound heavy, but it actually liberates you. When you accept that your choices shape your results, you gain control over your life. You stop depending on luck, or timing, or someone else's decision. You understand that your future is your responsibility. This realization makes you stronger and calmer. It replaces frustration with focus. Think about your daily life. How many times do you wait for someone to remind you, push you, or tell you what's next? What if instead you became the one who sees what needs to be done and does it? The moment you start doing that, everything shifts. Your relationships change, your work changes, your confidence changes. Because you're no longer waiting, you're leading. Responsibility is not about being perfect. It's about being accountable. You will make mistakes. You will face setbacks. But when you take responsibility, you don't hide from them. You acknowledge them. You learn, you adjust, and you move forward. That's what separates a responsible person from someone who avoids growth. One owns their story, the other avoids it. You can't lead yourself or others if you keep escaping your own lessons. Taking responsibility also means you don't need recognition to act. Many people only perform when someone is watching. A leader acts because it's right, not because it's visible. They put in effort when no one is clapping. They follow through because they value their word. That kind of discipline is rare, but it's powerful. It makes you dependable. It shows that your character doesn't depend on supervision. Waiting for orders is easy because it removes pressure. But pressure is what molds leaders. The ability to see a gap and fill it, to see a problem and address it, to see potential and act on it. These qualities are built only through responsibility. The moment you stop asking "what should I do" and start asking "what can I do," your mind starts expanding. You begin thinking like someone who creates progress, not someone who follows it. You'll notice that people who take responsibility often rise faster. It's not because they know everything, it's because they move. They act when others hesitate. They make decisions instead of waiting for permission. That initiative makes them valuable in every situation. The world respects people who take charge of their role and bring results, no matter how small or big. To build this habit, start with small acts of ownership. Clean up what you didn't mess up. Fix something without being told. Follow through on a promise without reminders. Deliver more than expected. These simple actions train your brain to act instead of wait. Each time you do it, you strengthen your sense of control. You begin to realize that responsibility isn't something you carry. It's something that carries you forward. Taking responsibility also means owning your reactions. You can't control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. Blame is easy, but it keeps you powerless. Ownership gives you influence. When you respond with accountability, you stay in charge of your emotions and actions. You show maturity instead of frustration. That's what leaders do.
They control their response, even when they can't control the situation. Some people avoid responsibility because they fear failure. They think, if I take charge and it goes wrong, it's my fault. But that's the wrong way to look at it. Failure is not a punishment, it's feedback. Every time you take responsibility, you give yourself a chance to learn. If you wait for orders, you avoid mistakes, but you also avoid growth. The people who learn the fastest are the ones willing to step up and try. There's something deeply empowering about deciding, I will own this. It brings purpose to your actions. It makes you think long term. You start seeing the bigger picture. You start understanding how your decisions affect others. You start thinking about improvement, not just completion. That's what leadership looks like. Not waiting for direction, but creating it. In every team or family or organization, progress depends on people who take responsibility. Without them, nothing moves. Everyone ends up waiting on someone else. But when even one person steps forward, everything begins to flow. You can be that person. You can be the one who raises the standard. You can show what accountability looks like through your consistency. When you take responsibility, people trust you more. They know you mean what you say. They know you will handle challenges instead of avoiding them. Trust is the foundation of leadership, and responsibility is the foundation of trust. When you take care of your duties without waiting for instructions, others feel safe around you. They know that you care enough to do what's right even when it's not easy. Leadership is not about being in charge of others. It's about being in charge of yourself. That means taking responsibility for your attitude, your discipline, your effort, and your words. When something goes wrong, instead of pointing outward, you look inward. You ask, what could I have done better? That question keeps you growing. It keeps you humble and sharp. It prevents you from becoming passive or defensive. You will notice that people who always wait for orders rarely feel fulfilled. They may feel busy, but they don't feel proud, because deep down they know they are not leading their life. They're just participating in someone else's plan. Responsibility gives meaning. It makes every task personal. It reminds you that your work matters because you chose to make it matter. Taking responsibility also means not waiting for motivation. Motivation is temporary. Some days you'll feel inspired, other days you won't. But when you live responsibly, you act regardless of mood. You show up because you said you would. That reliability builds inner strength. It trains you to follow through even when you don't feel like it. Leaders move through discipline. Followers wait for emotion. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that no one is coming to save you. People can help, but they can't live your life for you. If you want change, you have to initiate it. If you want better results, you have to make better choices. That's what taking responsibility truly means, accepting full control over your direction. Once you understand that, excuses start to disappear. You stop saying I can't because, and start saying I will find a way. It's easy to blame circumstances. It's easy to say, I'd do more if I had more. But leaders make progress with whatever they take the first step with limited tools, limited support, limited clarity, and build momentum from there. Responsibility doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It starts with action. And every action taken with responsibility brings more opportunity. When you live this way, something shifts inside you. You start feeling proud of your choices. You start feeling capable. You start trusting yourself. Responsibility builds self-belief in a way that nothing else can. It gives you a quiet confidence that says whatever happens, I can handle it. That's the foundation of true leadership, strength through accountability. Taking responsibility before waiting for orders also prepares you for greater opportunities. When life sees that you can handle small things without supervision, it starts giving you bigger things. Every promotion, every opportunity, every new level of success is built on responsibility. People who handle what they have well are always trusted with more. The truth is, responsibility is not a skill, it's a decision. You don't need to be taught it, you need to choose it. Choose to act when others hesitate. Choose to give when others hold back. Choose to lead yourself before you lead others. The more you choose responsibility, the more control you gain over your destiny. Life will always test your willingness to act without being told. Every challenge, every delay, every uncertain moment is asking you, will you step forward or will you wait? Leaders, they do not wait for someone to light the path. They take the first step and light it themselves. Taking responsibility before waiting for orders is not just a habit, it's a philosophy. It's a way of living that says, I own my life, I own my growth, I own my results. It's not about ego, it's about integrity. It's about honoring your potential by taking action instead of waiting for direction. And when you start living this way, you will notice that life begins to open in ways it never did before. You will see opportunities others miss. You will gain respect others chase. You will feel fulfillment others seek. Because nothing is more empowering than knowing that you are the reason your life moves forward. Responsibility is not a rule, it's freedom. And when you learn to carry it, you'll realize it's not weight at all, it's wing. It lifts you to levels where waiting could never take you.
Chapter 5. Build confidence through action, not approval. Confidence is not something you wait for, it is something you build. Most people spend their lives waiting for someone to tell them they are good enough. They look for approval, for compliments, for validation. They want the world to clap before they take the stage. But confidence doesn't come from applause, it comes from action. It grows each time you move, each time you try, each time you face what scares you. Confidence is not a feeling you wait for, it is a result of doing what you said you would do. Approval is temporary. One moment people like you, the next they don't. If your confidence depends on what others think, it will rise and fall with every opinion. You can't build a stable life on unstable feedback. Real confidence comes from progress, not praise. When you act, you prove to yourself that you can handle things. You stop needing someone to tell you that you're capable because your actions already show it. Many people hesitate to move because they feel insecure. They tell themselves they'll act once they feel confident, but that's backward. Action comes first, confidence comes after. You don't gain belief by thinking about it, you gain it by doing. Every small step builds proof. Every time you face discomfort and survive, your mind records it. It learns, I can handle this. That's how strength grows, from evidence, not from imagination. Confidence is built in silence. It's built when you practice alone, when you stay committed even when no one's watching, when you take the next step even after failure. The people who look fearless aren't naturally brave. They're practiced. They've done the work. They've taken so many steps forward that fear has lost its power over them. If you want to feel confident, stop waiting to be ready. Start moving and let experience make you ready. The mistake most people make is seeking comfort before growth. They look for reassurance. They post their ideas and wait for likes. They do their best but still want someone to say, that was good. But leaders know that chasing approval weakens you. It trains your mind to depend on others for direction. Action trains your mind to depend on yourself. The more you act, the less you crave permission. That's the shift that builds unshakable confidence. When you rely on approval, you live cautiously.
You hide your ideas because you fear judgment. You hold back your effort because you don't want to fail publicly. But when you build confidence through action, fear loses its grip. You stop asking, "What will people think?" and start asking, "What will I learn from this?" That question changes everything. It moves you from avoidance to growth, from hesitation to movement. Action doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as speaking up when you're silent, taking a small risk, or trying again after rejection. Each small act builds proof that you're capable. Confidence is not built in one victory, it's built in repeated effort. The more you take action, the more you realize that discomfort isn't danger. It's just the body's signal that you're expanding. Once you understand that, you stop fearing effort. You start chasing it. Real confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It's quiet and steady. It's knowing that you can rely on yourself. It's walking into situations without the need to impress anyone. You stop needing validation because you already know who you are and what you can handle. That kind of confidence doesn't come from approval. It comes from consistent self-trust, built through action. Taking action even when you feel uncertain is how you prove your worth to yourself. Every time you take responsibility for your choices, you reinforce belief. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Confidence is not built on words, it's built on follow-through. It's when your mind sees that your actions match your intentions. That's when you begin to feel solid, grounded, and unshakable. Approval-based living creates anxiety. You start performing instead of growing. You measure your value through reactions. That's why many people feel empty, even after success. They achieved something, but it wasn't for themselves. Confidence through action, on the other hand, fills you. It gives your work meaning because you did it for the right reason. To grow, to learn, to build strength, not to impress. Every time you act despite fear, you take power away from it. Fear feeds on hesitation. It grows stronger when you think too much and weaker when you move. Action breaks its rhythm. Once you start doing, you realize the fear was exaggerated. It was never as heavy as it looked. That's why motion matters more than motivation. You don't need to feel brave, you need to move. The feeling follows. When you base your confidence on approval, you also give people control over your emotions. A single negative comment can ruin your day. A lack of recognition can destroy your motivation. But when your confidence comes from action, you're stable. You understand that your worth isn't up for debate. It's built, not borrowed. You no longer depend on external validation to feel capable. You find satisfaction in your own progress. People often misunderstand confidence. They think it's arrogance or pride, but real confidence has humility in it. It doesn't need to prove superiority. It's about inner peace, not comparison. A confident person doesn't need to compete with others. They compete with their own potential. They wake up asking, "How can I improve today?" Not "How can I outshine someone else?" That quiet focus builds the kind of strength that lasts. To build confidence through action, you must learn to handle failure gracefully. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. The only true failure is quitting. Each mistake carries feedback. Each setback refines your approach. Every time you get up, you build resilience. Confidence doesn't come from winning all the time. It comes from knowing you can recover when you don't. Once you understand that, fear loses its control over your life. You also build confidence when you keep your promises to others, yes, but especially to yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you teach your brain that your word matters. You start to trust yourself deeply. That's the core of confidence, self-trust. Without it, you'll always look outside for reassurance. With it, you'll stand firm, no matter who doubts you. Confidence grows in the moments you think no one is watching. When you study while others sleep, when you show up to practice even when you don't feel like it, when you keep working after rejection. Those small actions accumulate quiet. One day, people will call you confident, but they won't see the hours of quiet effort behind it. You'll know, and that knowledge will mean more than any applause ever could. Building confidence through action also requires honesty. You can't build strength by pretend. You have to admit where you're weak, where you're afraid, and where you've fallen short. Then you have to act anyway. Facing reality gives you control. Avoiding it keeps you trapped. Leaders don't lie to themselves about their limits. They work on every bit of progress earned through honesty creates genuine confidence. When you stop chasing approval, your energy changes. You start doing things for purpose, not recognition. You stop needing attention to feel valuable. You focus on results, not reactions. You start feeling free because you no longer depend on people's opinions to feel alive. Approval keeps you chained. Action sets you free. A leader understands that confidence is built on repetition. You do the right thing again and again until it becomes natural. You face small fears daily so that big ones don't scare you. You practice discipline when no one checks on you. You move even when doubt whispers. Over time, your body and mind begin to expect success. Confidence becomes your default, not your dream. The people who grow the fastest are the ones who try the most, not the ones who know the most. Action brings experience, and experience brings wisdom. The more you act, the more you learn how to adjust. You stop overthinking and start improving. That rhythm of movement builds confidence far more effectively than overplanning ever could. Confidence through action also teaches patience. Growth takes time. You won't feel certain overnight. You won't master skills instantly. But every time you take consistent steps, you prove to yourself that you're moving forward. Progress, no matter how small, builds power. You don't need to see giant results. You just need to know you're advancing. That awareness keeps your confidence alive. When you build confidence through action, you learn to stay grounded even in success, because you know that praise doesn't define you. Effort does. You stay humble because you understand that every achievement came from discipline, not luck. You stay hungry because action never ends. Confidence is not a finish line. It's a lifelong process of proving to yourself that you can keep going. Approval fades quickly, but self-earned confidence stays. You don't have to chase it, defend it, or explain it. It's inside. It's in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you face life. When people see it, they feel it, not because you boast, but because your presence carries quiet certainty. That's what real confidence looks like. It's calm, strong, and steady. Start where you are. Don't wait to feel brave. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect time. Pick one thing you've been hesitating to do, and take the first step. Even a small action counts. That's how momentum begins. Once you start, keep going. Each step adds a layer to your strength. One day you'll look back and realize that the person who once doubted themselves has become the person others look up to. Building confidence through action is the foundation of leadership. It teaches you to depend on yourself, to stay consistent, to take risks, to grow from discomfort. It shows you that self-belief is earned, not gifted. When you act, you build evidence. When you move, you build trust. When you stay committed, you build power. And once you've built that kind of confidence, no opinion can shake it, and no obstacle can stop it.
Chapter 6. Learn to guide people, not just follow them. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about being someone others can trust to move forward with. Many people know how to follow, but very few learn how to guide. Following is easier because it requires less responsibility. You simply do what you're told. Guiding, however, requires vision, patience, and courage. It means thinking beyond yourself. It means caring about others enough to help them grow. When you learn to guide people, You stop being just another participant in life. You become someone who shapes it. A follower waits to see what others will do. A guide sees what must be done and helps people move toward it. Guidance doesn't mean control. It means influence through example, clarity and care. People follow those who make them feel capable, not those who make them feel small. To guide others, you must first understand them. You must take time to listen, to see their fears, their motivations, and their potential. You can't guide people you don't understand. True guidance starts with self-awareness. Before you lead others, you must know yourself. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? How do you handle pressure? People sense your energy before they hear your words. If your actions don't match your message, they won't follow you willingly. Leadership is less about what you say and more about how you live. The way you handle difficulty teaches more than any speech. Learning to guide people means developing empathy. You have to see situations from their point of view. You have to know what they need, not just what you expect. Some people need encouragement, others need challenge, some need structure, others need freedom. A good guide knows when to push and when to support. They don't treat everyone the same way. They adapt to bring out the best in each person. Guiding people also means setting standards. People look up to someone who expects excellence, not perfection, but commitment. You can't demand more from others than you demand from yourself. When people see that you live with integrity and discipline, they naturally want to rise to your level. That's how influence works. It's not forced, it's earned. You earn it by example, by consistency, by authenticity. You must also learn to communicate clearly. Many misunderstandings come from unclear direction. A good leader doesn't speak to impress, they speak to connect. They use simple words, calm tone, and steady focus. They don't overpromise, they don't mislead. They tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. People don't need perfect leaders, they need honest ones. They need someone who communicates with both heart and reason. Guiding people requires patience. Growth takes time. You can't expect instant results. You can't demand people to be who they're not yet ready to be. A real guide knows that mistakes are part of learning. They don't judge, they coach. They don't ridicule, they correct with respect. When people feel safe around you, they start to grow faster. They stop hiding mistakes and start improving from them. You also have to lead by action. Words only go so far. People watch how you treat others, how you handle stress, how you recover from setbacks. If you preach positivity but react with anger, your message collapses. If you talk about discipline but cut corners, your credibility fades. People learn more from your habits than from your advice. To guide others, your behavior must be consistent, even when no one is watching. There's a difference between being a boss and being a guide. A boss tells people what to do. A guide shows them why it matters. A boss focuses on control. A guide focuses on growth. A boss uses authority. A guide uses example. When you guide people, you create more leaders, not more followers. You inspire independence, not dependence. You build people who can stand strong on their own, not those who always wait for your direction. Guiding others also means believing in their potential before they believe in it themselves. Many people never rise simply because no one told them they could. A leader sees what others don't see. They recognize hidden strengths and help bring them to the surface. When you tell someone, you can do this, and you mean it, something changes in them. They start to see new possibility. That's the real power of leadership. It awakens people to their own greatness. To guide effectively, you must control your ego. Leadership is not about being above others. It's about being among them
and lifting them higher. When you lead with humility, people respect you more. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You need to be the one who listens, who observes, who acts with wisdom. People follow calm strength more than aggressive power. They follow the one who brings peace, not chaos. Learning to guide also means knowing when to step back. A good guide doesn't make people dependent. They make them confident. You have to let others try, fail, and learn. Don't rush to fix everything. Let people solve problems their way sometimes. That's how they develop skill and ownership. A leader's goal is not to create followers, it's to create more capable thinkers. When people can think for themselves, your leadership has succeeded. Being a guide means you carry responsibility beyond yourself. You can't think only about your comfort. Every word, every action, every choice you make affects others. You must weigh your decisions with care. A single careless remark can break trust. A single fair decision can build loyalty. Leadership demands awareness. You have to be conscious of the energy you bring into every space. Guiding others is also about consistency. People can't trust someone who changes direction every week. They need stability. They need to know where you stand. You don't have to have all the answers, but you must have principles that don't waver with convenience. When people see consistency, they feel safe to follow. When they see unpredictability, they hesitate. Stability builds direction. Another key part of guidance is giving credit. When people do well, recognize it. When they contribute, appreciate it. When they grow, celebrate it. Leaders who share credit build stronger teams. Those who take all the glory we can trust. Recognition costs nothing but gives everything. It makes people feel valued, and people who feel valued give their best. But guiding others is not just about support, it's also about standard. You can't shy away from correction. When someone drifts off course, you must address it. But do it with respect, not shame. Show them the better way instead of just pointing out mistakes. True leaders correct in a way that builds, not breaks. They challenge people to improve without destroying their confidence. To guide people effectively, you also have to keep learning yourself. Leadership is not a finish line. It's a lifelong process of improvement. The best guides are constant learners. They read, observe, ask questions, and grow. They never stop refining their understanding of people. When you grow, your ability to lead grows too. You can't teach what you don't practice. Leaders also know how to manage conflict. When people work together, disagreements are natural. A good guide doesn't take sides. They seek understanding. They focus on solutions, not blame. They help people communicate better. They remind everyone of the bigger goal. Calmness during conflict is one of the strongest signs of leadership. It keeps the team from falling apart under pressure. Learning to guide people means leading with integrity. Integrity is doing what's right even when it's inconvenient. People will forgive mistakes, but they won't forgive dishonesty. Once you lose trust, it's hard to earn it back. Always choose honesty. Always act in alignment with your value. A leader who stays true, even when it costs them something, gains lasting respect. Guiding also means serving. Leadership is not about privilege, it's about responsibility. It's not about being above people, it's about being accountable to them. The best leaders see themselves as servants of the mission. They ask, how can I help this person succeed, not what can I get from them? That attitude changes everything. People will always follow someone who genuinely wants them to win. You must also learn to inspire through your vision. People follow direction, but they stay for purpose. If you can help others see the meaning behind what they do, they'll work with more heart. Paint a clear picture of what's possible. Show them how their role fits into the larger goal. When people understand the why, they give more to the how. Inspiration creates unity. Guiding people is also about emotional control. You can't lead effectively if you let your emotions lead you. There will be times of frustration, disappointment, even betrayal. You can't respond with anger or impulsive reactions. You must stay grounded. Emotional balance shows maturity. It tells people that they can trust your judgment, even under stress. A great leader lifts others when they fall. They don't punish weakness, they help rebuild strength. They remind people of their worth when they forget it. They give second chances when deserved. Leadership is about seeing potential, not just performance. People remember how you treated them in their hardest moments more than how you treated them in success. To guide others, you must learn to lead yourself first. You can't teach discipline if you don't live it. You can't expect honesty if you don't practice it. You can't preach growth if you don't pursue it. People follow authenticity. They can sense when you are genuine. So focus on being your best self, and your example will naturally guide those around you. In every setting, home, work, or community, people are looking for direction. They are searching for someone who believes in values, who can bring calm to confusion, who can help them see possibilities when things feel uncertain. You can become that person, not by title, not by force, but by presence, by being consistent, kind and courageous. Learning to guide people instead of just following them means developing a new kind of awareness. You start seeing that leadership is not about power, it's about impact. You start understanding that every person you guide becomes a reflection of your influence. That's a responsibility you should honor. You shape lives through your example, your patience, and your belief in others. In the end, leadership is about giving more than you take. It's about building people, not just systems. It's about helping others see what they're capable of, and showing them how to get there. The world has enough followers waiting for instructions. What it needs are more guides, people who move with wisdom, who lead with empathy, and who build others as they rise. When you learn to guide, you don't just change others, you transform yourself. You become someone who leads not out of authority, but out of purpose. And that kind of leadership leaves a mark that never fades.
Chapter 7. Focus on results, not on routines. There is a major difference between being busy and being productive. Many people spend their days trapped in routines, doing tasks, following habits, checking boxes, yet wondering why they aren't getting closer to what they truly want. They feel exhausted, but not fulfilled. They mistake motion for progress. Leaders understand that real growth comes not from endless routines, but from results. Routines are tools. Results are the purpose. When you start focusing on what you're achieving rather than what you're repeating, you move from effort to effectiveness. Following routines without reflection is one of the quietest forms of stagnation. People build routines to stay organized, but then they forget why they started them. They go through motions that no longer serve their goals. A worker follows a schedule because it exists. A leader questions whether that schedule is still useful. Routines must serve results, not replace them. When you start asking, "Is this helping me reach my goals?" your life begins to shift toward purpose and clarity. Focusing on results means paying attention to outcomes. It's about measuring whether your actions are producing real value. It's easy to confuse activity with achievement. You can fill your day with calls, meetings, and plans, and still be standing in the same place a year later. Leaders don't chase busyness, they chase impact. They understand that the goal is not to stay occupied, it's to create progress that matters. When you live by routine alone, you can lose creativity. You start doing things automatically without thought or curiosity.
Your actions become mechanical. You might feel safe, but safety is not the same as growth. Leaders stay aware of why they do what they do. They constantly evaluate, they adjust methods, experiment and refine. They're not loyal to routines, they're loyal to results. If a system stops working, they change it without hesitation. To focus on results, you must first define what success looks like. Many people never see progress because they don't know what they're aiming for. They're busy, but directionless. Clarity creates efficiency. When you know the outcome you're working toward, you can eliminate actions that don't contribute to it. You stop wasting energy on distraction. You stop confusing effort with purpose. Results come from alignment, not activity. Leaders plan their days with intent. They don't ask, "What do I have to do today?" They ask, "What will move me closer to my goal today?" That single shift transforms productivity. It forces you to prioritize. It removes meaningless work. It trains you to think in terms of impact. Every hour becomes an investment instead of a routine habit. Your time becomes sharper, your effort more focused, your energy better spent. Routines have value. They build structure, discipline, and consistency. But without direction, they can trap you. You can be consistent in the wrong things. You can follow habits that no longer fit your goals. You can stay disciplined in a system that produces no growth. A leader knows when to keep a habit and when to redesign it. They don't get emotionally attached to their process. They stay committed to their results. To focus on results, you must be willing to evaluate your actions honestly. Ask yourself, are my current habits still effective? Is this task contributing to something meaningful? If not, it's time to adjust. Improvement doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters. Every successful person has learned to eliminate noise and concentrate on what creates outcome. You cannot reach excellence by clinging to comfort. When you focus on routines, you tend to chase perfection. You want to perform every step flawlessly, but perfection doesn't guarantee progress. Many people perfect their process, but never complete their mission. Leaders don't seek perfection, they seek advancement. They know that small imperfect progress beats endless preparation. They measure success not by how much they've done, but by how far they've moved. Results-focused people measure growth in impact, not in time spent. They care less about how long they worked, and more about what that work produced. This mindset forces accountability. It makes you face reality instead of hiding behind effort. You start asking yourself tough questions. Did this task make a difference? Is this strategy moving me forward? What can I change to make things better? These questions create clarity, and clarity drives success. When your focus shifts to results, your confidence increases. You stop relying on routine for security. You build belief through outcome. You start seeing proof that your decisions matter. Each success, no matter how small, reinforces your sense of direction. Routine-based living keeps you busy, but uncertain. Result-based living keeps you purposeful and proud. You can look back and see evidence that your choices made an impact. Leaders don't just follow steps, they create progress. They take ownership of results, not routines. When something doesn't work, they don't say, "But I followed the process." They say, "What needs to change?" That accountability builds adaptability. The more flexible you become, the more capable you are of producing results, even under changing conditions. Life doesn't reward those who cling to outdated systems. It rewards those who evolve. Many people fear letting go of routines because routines feel safe. They create predictability in an unpredictable world. But growth requires discomfort. If you only do what feels familiar, you'll stay in the same place. The purpose of a routine is to support progress, not to replace it. When the system starts controlling you, it's time to take control back. Ask yourself often, is this still serving my vision? If the answer is no, make a change. To focus on results, you must learn to measure what matters. Measure growth, not activity. Measure quality, not quantity. Measure impact, not intention. Too many people take pride in being busy, but busyness is not the same as effectiveness. You can spend hours working hard and still achieve little if your focus is misplaced. Results require precision, not just persistence. You have to direct your energy with purpose. Focusing on results also builds stronger teams. People feel more motivated when they understand what success looks like. When you lead with outcomes, not just rules, your team starts thinking instead of just following. They begin to take ownership of results too. That's how organizations grow, from a group of doers to a group of thinkers. A leader who focuses on results doesn't say, follow this routine. They say, let's achieve this outcome together. Leaders also understand that results are not always immediate. They stay patient but persistent. They measure progress in direction, not in speed. A results mindset doesn't mean rushing, it means being strategic. It's about moving with awareness, knowing what truly matters, and making consistent improvement. It's about progress that compounds over time, not short bursts of meaningless activity. When you focus on results, you start thinking critically about priorities. You learn to say no more often. You stop spreading yourself thin across unimportant tasks. You focus on what gives the highest return on your effort. Every great achiever has mastered this principle. They work on fewer things, but with greater intensity. They care about completion, not just participation. A results-driven mindset also keeps you humble. When you measure by outcomes, you can't hide behind excuses. You face facts. If something isn't working, you admit it. You learn, you adapt, and you try again. This humility keeps growth continuous. People who hide behind routines rarely improve because they mistake consistency for progress. Results force you to stay accountable and open-minded. You also learn to evaluate effort with balance. Some routines are useful. They keep you grounded, but too much structure can limit innovation. You need flexibility within discipline. You need space to question, to test, to adjust. Leaders understand that success is part science, part art. The routine gives the structure, creativity gives life to it. Focusing on results allows you to combine both effectively. Many people fall into the trap of pleasing routines because they look productive. They stay busy so they can feel accomplished. But deep down, they know they're avoiding the real work, the uncomfortable tasks that lead to real growth. A leader doesn't confuse motion with momentum. They understand that the hardest steps usually bring the biggest change, so they prioritize what creates transformation, not what simply fills time. Focusing on results also builds resilience. When you care about impact, you learn to push through difficulty. You understand that challenges are part of progress. You stop giving up when things get uncomfortable because your goal matters more than your comfort. Routine-based people quit when their pattern is disrupted. Result-based people adapt and keep moving forward. Their focus is fixed on the destination, not on the method. Leaders live with intention. They question everything they do. Why am I doing this? What will it produce? That constant reflection keeps them sharp. They're not afraid to experiment or pivot when needed. They don't let ego tie them to a failing system. They're loyal to progress, not to tradition. They care more about where they're going than how they've always done things. When you focus on results, you start valuing time differently. You stop wasting it on tasks that don't matter. You learn that being productive isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. You plan your energy carefully. You protect your focus. You work smart, not just hard. This mindset brings peace. You no longer feel scattered or overwhelmed. You know that every effort has a purpose. In every area of life, career, relationships, health, the same truth applies. Results matter. You can have routines for years, but if they don't bring growth, you're simply repeating. A leader constantly measures life by evolution. They ask, am I better than I was 6 months ago? Have my efforts made a difference? Have I grown in skill, in understanding, in strength? Those questions keep you aligned with purpose. When you focus on results, you inspire others. People are drawn to progress. They want to be part of something that moves forward. They respect those who deliver, not just those who talk. By producing results consistently, you set a silent example that motivates others to elevate their standards. You don't need to demand excellence. You embody it. To live this way, you must develop clarity, discipline, and adaptability. Clarity gives you direction. Discipline gives you momentum. Adaptability gives you longevity. Together, they create a life driven by impact, not habit. Every great leader understands this. Routines may support you, but results define you. Stop asking yourself if you're doing enough. Start asking if you're achieving enough. The goal isn't to be endlessly occupied, it's to be effective. Focus your energy on outcomes that matter, on progress that changes lives, on actions that leave a mark. That's what separates leaders from followers. Followers live in patterns. Leaders live in purpose. When you begin to think this way, everything changes. Your work gains meaning. Your days gain clarity. Your life gains momentum. You stop surviving your routine and start building your result. And once you live like that, you'll never go back to just staying busy. You'll live to make a difference.
Chapter 8. Grow your vision beyond your current role. Growth begins the moment you stop defining yourself only by your current position. Too many people trap their potential inside a title, a job, or a single identity. They tell themselves, "This is who I am," and forget that life has more waiting for them. When you think only within the limits of your current role, you stop evolving. You settle into patterns that feel safe, but slowly dull your ambition. Leaders think differently. They grow their vision beyond their role. They see their current position not as the destination, but as training for the next level of impact. Your role may describe what you do right now, but your vision defines who you are becoming. When you start looking beyond today, your work gains meaning. You stop asking, "What do I have to do?" and start asking, "What can I create from here?" That shift changes everything. It turns every task into preparation for something greater. You begin to treat ordinary responsibilities as opportunities to build extraordinary skills. A worker waits for the next promotion. A leader prepares for it long before it arrives. You don't need a new title to think bigger. Vision comes before opportunity. The world opens up to those who already see themselves growing. When you act like the future matters, life starts responding to you differently. People notice. They see the energy in your effort, the pride in your work, the direction in your decisions. Vision shows through behavior long before it shows in position. To grow your vision, you must learn to think in terms of contribution, not just duty. Your current role might have a job description, but real leaders go beyond it. They look for ways to add value that weren't written down. They solve problems no one assigned them. They bring ideas that improve the system for everyone. When you start thinking this way, you become indispensable. People stop seeing you as just another worker. They see you as someone shaping the future. Expanding your vision also requires curiosity. You have to learn more than what your job demands. You have to study beyond your field, ask questions, observe, and stay open. Growth happens when you connect new knowledge to old experience.
The person who stays curious will always out the one who stays comfortable. Every bit of learning builds perspective, and perspective builds leadership. Many people limit their vision because they measure themselves by what others around them are doing. They say, "This is how everyone works here," or "This is all that's expected." But that mindset keeps you average. True visionaries don't measure themselves by the standard, they raise it. They ask, "How can I make this better?" And then they act. That's how every great idea begins, with one person refusing to accept limit. Growing your vision beyond your role means understanding that you are not your title. You are your habits, your attitude, and your mindset. The title can change tomorrow, but your growth mindset travels with you everywhere. If you invest in learning, discipline, and creativity today, you'll be ready for any role that comes next. Leaders prepare for doors that haven't even appeared yet. They work on themselves so that when opportunity knocks, they don't have to get ready. They already are. When you start thinking bigger, some people won't understand you. They may say you're too ambitious or impatient. Don't let that bother you. People who protect their comfort will always question those who chase growth. Keep your focus on progress, not opinion. Vision means seeing what others can't yet see. It's your responsibility to hold that picture in your mind, even when no one else believes it's possible. Expanding your vision also means developing new skills. Every role has limits. If you only do what your job demands, you'll never stretch your ability. Leaders keep learning skills that push them forward. They learn how to communicate better, how to manage time, how to lead people, how to make decisions under pressure. Every skill you master increases your capacity to lead beyond your current environment. The more capable you become, the more doors open. To grow your vision, start by observing people who are already where you want to go. Study how they think, how they behave, how they make decisions. Success leaves patterns. Don't copy their personality, but learn from their discipline. Learn how they manage setbacks, how they plan their growth, how they handle responsibility. You'll begin to notice that every leader started in a role smaller than their vision, but they outgrew it through effort and focus. You must also learn to connect your daily actions to your larger goals. Vision without execution is just imagination. Every small action today is a brick in the foundation of your future. Don't treat small tasks as meaningless. Treat them as practice for the bigger responsibilities coming your way. If you want to lead people tomorrow, start by leading yourself well today. If you want to run projects later, start by managing your time and energy effectively now. Every step matters when you see it as preparation. When you grow your vision, you also develop long-term thinking. Most people focus on immediate results. They want quick recognition, fast rewards, instant success. But growth that lasts takes time. Leaders think years ahead. They make choices that may not pay off right now, but will build lasting stability. They plant seeds of progress, while others chase temporary comfort. That patience gives their vision strength and depth. A big vision requires you to build resilience. As you aim higher, challenges grow. You will face rejection, setbacks, and misunderstanding. The key is to see each obstacle as training. Every challenge builds mental strength. Every setback teaches perspective. Instead of complaining, use these moments to sharpen your character. People who can handle difficulty without losing direction are the ones who rise. Vision without resilience fades when life gets tough. Growing beyond your role also means taking initiative in ways that make a difference. Don't wait for someone to ask you to improve things. If you see a better way, share it respectfully. If you notice a problem, offer a solution. If you see someone struggling, help them without being told. This attitude sets leaders apart. It shows that you're thinking beyond your position. You're thinking about the organization, the team, The mission: to expand your vision. Stop working only for rewards. Work for mastery. Work to become exceptional at what you do. When you focus on becoming excellent, recognition eventually finds you. Approval is temporary. Competence is permanent. The more value you bring, the more people will trust you with bigger opportunity. Leadership is not about chasing attention. It's about earning it through consistent results and integrity. One of the most important parts of growing your vision is learning to see yourself as part of something larger. Don't limit your thinking to personal success. Ask yourself, how can I contribute to something bigger than myself? This kind of thinking makes you magnetic. People are drawn to those who think beyond self-interest. When your work benefits others, your influence multiplies. That's how leaders create legacy. You also need to learn to balance humility with ambition. Vision should never turn into arrogance. Remember, you are growing, not proving. You're expanding your impact, not inflating your ego. True vision inspires others. It doesn't intimidate them. When people see your drive combined with humility, they trust you. They want to help you succeed because your success feels meaningful, not selfish. To grow beyond your current role, surround yourself with people who think bigger. Your environment shapes your mindset. If you spend time with people who settle, you'll start lowering your own standards. If you spend time with people who challenge themselves, you'll feel pulled to grow. Choose environments that stretch you. Learn from those who see potential where others see limit. The company you keep can either expand or shrink your vision. A powerful way to expand your vision is through reflection. Take time each week to review what you're learning, what's improving, and what needs work. Ask yourself if your actions are aligning with your long-term direction. Reflection keeps your growth intentional. Without reflection, you drift. With reflection, you move with clarity. Leaders make time to think. That's where vision strengthens and sharpens. Your current role is not your identity. It's your platform. Treat it as a classroom for leadership. Use it to build the mindset, habits and skills that will serve you for the rest of your life. When you give your best at every level, you prepare yourself for the next one. Life has a way of rewarding those who outgrow where they are. Opportunities appear when you're ready, not when you wish for them. Sometimes growth means thinking like the person you want to become. If you want to lead a team one day, start thinking like a leader now. If you want to build something of your own, start behaving like a creator now. The mind adapts to the identity you feed it. The more you think like your future self, the faster you grow into it. Vision is not about where you are. It's about who you are preparing to be. Expanding your vision also requires gratitude. Appreciate where you are, but don't get stuck there. Gratitude keeps you grounded, but ambition keeps you growing. A balanced leader knows how to be thankful for today, while working toward tomorrow. Gratitude prevents arrogance, and ambition prevents complacency. Together they create steady, meaningful progress. You will know your vision is growing when your conversations change. You'll talk less about problems and more about solutions. You'll talk less about people and more about possibilities. You'll stop asking, "What do I get?" and start asking, "What can I give?" That shift marks real maturity. It's the difference between someone existing in a role and someone expanding beyond it. When you grow your vision, your perspective on challenges changes. You stop seeing them as setbacks and start seeing them as experiences preparing you for higher responsibility. Every struggle in your current role is shaping you for the next one. The discipline you build now, the patience you practice now, the lessons you learn now, they are all building blocks for your future leadership. Nothing is wasted when you have vision. Eventually, your vision will outgrow your environment. You'll feel it before it happens. You'll sense that you're ready for something more. That's not impatience. That's evolution. When that time comes, move forward with confidence. Don't fear starting over in a new space. The habits, values and mindset you've built will follow you. You're not leaving a role, you're expanding your reach. The goal of leadership is not just to succeed in your current space, but to create new spaces for others to grow. When your vision expands, you open paths for others you inspire them to think bigger, to stretch their own limits, to believe that more is possible. Your growth becomes an invitation for theirs. That is how true leadership multiplies. It doesn't end with you. Growing your vision beyond your current role is about refusing to settle. It's about staying curious, staying disciplined, and staying committed to becoming better than you were yesterday. It's about seeing yourself as a lifelong student of progress. When you think this way, every stage of your life becomes meaningful. Every role becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes a step toward mastery. The person who grows beyond their current role never runs out of opportunity. They keep evolving, learning and creating. They don't wait for permission to think bigger. They do it because they understand that life rewards expansion. The moment you decide to see beyond where you stand, you begin to rise above it. You become a leader not because of your title, but because of your vision. And that's the kind of growth that never stops.
Chapter 9. Invest in learning what leaders understand. Leaders think differently because they learn differently. They understand that leadership isn't a title. It's a way of seeing the world. It's a skill set built through years of studying people, growth, decision-making, and discipline. Most people stop learning once they feel comfortable. Leaders never do. They know that the moment they stop learning, they stop leading. They invest in growth because they understand that knowledge expands possibilities. They want to see further, act wiser, and lead stronger. Investing in learning doesn't always mean formal education. It means being hungry for understanding. It means reading, observing, listening, asking, and reflecting. Leaders look for lessons in everything: books, failures, conversations, mistakes, and successes. Every experience becomes a classroom. They don't just seek information, they seek wisdom. They ask themselves, what can I take from this that will help me think and act better? That mindset turns daily life into a source of leadership development. The difference between followers and leaders often begins with curiosity. Followers wait for instructions. Leaders search for understanding. Followers focus on tasks. Leaders focus on principles. The more you understand why things work, the better you can improve them. The more you study people and situations, the more your judgment strengthens. You stop reacting and start anticipating. You stop guessing and start seeing patterns. That's what real learning gives you: clarity. When you invest in learning what leaders understand, you begin to see that success has patterns. Leaders study these patterns carefully. They observe how people make choices, how teams operate, how organizations grow, and how individuals overcome obstacles. They pay attention to what works and why it works. This awareness allows them to avoid common traps that keep others stuck. The more you understand patterns, the faster you can grow without repeating the same mistakes others have made. Learning what leaders understand also means studying yourself. Self-awareness is one of the most powerful forms of knowledge. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. You have to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your habits, your fears and your triggers. You have to understand how you respond under pressure and what motivates you deeply. Leaders take time to reflect, not just act. They analyze their behavior after every major experience. They ask, what did I do right? What could I have done better? That habit builds maturity. Leaders also study human behavior. They know that leadership is not about managing systems. It's about understanding people. Every team, business or community runs on human energy. The better you understand people,
the better you can inspire, motivate and influence them. Leaders pay attention to body language, tone and emotion. They know when to speak, when to listen, and when to stay silent. They don't react impulsively. They read the room before they move. That emotional intelligence comes from observation and empathy, not authority. Another thing leaders understand is how to think long-term. They don't get lost in short bursts of excitement. They make decisions based on vision, not emotion. They invest in actions that will matter years from now. This kind of thinking doesn't come naturally. It must be learned. You develop it by studying history, patterns, and cause and effect. You start seeing that big things grow from small, consistent efforts. Leaders learn patience because they understand process. When you invest in learning, you begin to see that leadership is built on fundamentals: communication, discipline, empathy, accountability, and decision-making. These aren't glamorous topics, but they build greatness. Leaders master the basics because they know that without them, nothing else works. They read about these skills, practice them daily, and refine them constantly. They are lifelong students of excellence. To learn what leaders understand, you must be willing to challenge your own beliefs. Growth begins where comfort ends. Leaders question their assumptions. They don't hold on to outdated ideas just because they once worked. They adapt. They stay open to new perspectives. That humility keeps them growing. Many people stay stuck because they protect their opinions instead of expanding their knowledge. Leaders are more interested in truth than ego. Investing in learning also means surrounding yourself with people who know more than you do. A great leader builds environments that challenge them. They don't want to be the smartest in the room. They want to be the one who learns the most. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to grow. They listen to those with different experiences. They study mentors, colleagues, even critics. Wisdom comes from variety. You can learn what leaders understand by studying their habits. Watch how they plan their days, how they manage energy, how they make decisions under pressure. Leaders are deliberate. They don't waste time on trivial matters. They focus on priorities that create impact. They balance urgency with patience. They act fast when it's needed, but never carelessly. Their calm under pressure is not natural. It's trained. They built it through learning, reflection, and self-control. Leaders understand that learning must be active, not passive. They don't just collect information. They apply it. Reading a book is useful only if it changes your actions. Listening to a talk is helpful only if it changes your mindset. Leaders turn knowledge into movement. They test ideas, make mistakes, adjust and refine. That process transforms theory into mastery. Knowledge without action is potential wasted. One of the most valuable things leaders learn is perspective. They know how to step back and see the whole picture. They don't let small frustrations cloud their judgment. They understand that every decision has consequences, both immediate and long-term. Perspective keeps emotions balanced. It allows them to lead with wisdom, not impulse. This skill grows with study, reflection, and experience. The more you learn, the more perspective you gain. Investing in learning also means understanding change. The world is always evolving. Technology shifts, people evolve, markets transform. Leaders stay adaptable because they study trends and prepare for change instead of resisting it. They see change as an opportunity, not a threat. They invest time in learning new skills, understanding new tools, and exploring new ideas. Staying current keeps them relevant. Ignoring learning keeps others behind. Leaders also learn from failure. They know that mistakes are not the end. They are lessons in disguise. Every time something goes wrong, a leader asks, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of shame, they seek insight. They extract the value from every setback. That mindset makes them fearless, because once you see failure as feedback, you stop avoiding it. You start using it. Learning gives you the courage to experiment without fear of judgment. Another important thing leaders understand is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing facts. Wisdom is knowing how to use them. You can learn information anywhere, but wisdom requires reflection. It comes from connecting what you know to what you've lived. Leaders spend time thinking, not just doing. They process experiences deeply. They analyze why something worked or failed. They turn every event into a lesson for future decisions. To invest in learning, you must also practice discipline. You can't learn deeply if your attention is scattered. Leaders schedule time to read, study and think. They treat learning like a responsibility, not a hobby. They understand that knowledge compounds like interest. The more you learn, the faster you grow. Every hour spent learning adds to your ability to make better choices tomorrow. The discipline of continuous education builds a sharper mind and stronger influence. Leaders also understand communication. They study how words shape perception. They learn how to speak clearly, listen deeply, and write persuasively. They know that ideas are only powerful if others can understand. Communication is a skill built through intentional learning. By observing great communicators, practicing empathy, and refining expression, those who master communication lead naturally because they can connect meaningfully. Investing in learning also means studying how to think critically. Leaders don't take things at face value. They ask questions. They look for evidence. They weigh different perspectives. They understand that good decisions come from clear thinking. Critical thinking protects them from manipulation, impulsiveness, and short-term emotion. It helps them make balanced, rational, and informed choices. One of the strongest marks of a leader is the ability to teach. When you learn deeply, you can pass it on. Leaders share what they know. They mentor, guide, and help others grow. They don't guard information. They multiply it. Sharing reinforces understanding. It turns knowledge into influence. The more you give, the more you retain. Teaching is not just an act of kindness. It's an act of mastery. Leaders also study the art of decision-making. They know that progress depends on choices. They learn how to analyze risk, weigh options, and commit to action. They understand that indecision wastes opportunity. They train themselves to decide confidently and adjust quickly when necessary. Decision-making is not about always being right. It's about moving forward intelligently. To learn what leaders understand, you must also develop emotional strength. Leadership brings pressure, criticism, and uncertainty. The more you learn about human behavior, psychology, and resilience, the more balanced you become. Leaders learn how to manage stress without breaking, how to stay calm when others panic, and how to keep perspective when things fall apart. Emotional education is as vital as intellectual education. You'll notice that leaders are also students of history. They study past leaders, revolutions, innovations, and failures. They learn what worked and what didn't. History gives context. It reminds them that every challenge they face has lessons from those who came before. This kind of learning builds humility and perspective. It shows that leadership is not about ego. It's about stewardship. Investing in learning also teaches adaptability. Leaders know that they can't control everything, but they can always grow stronger. They stay curious instead of defense. When something new appears, they explore it instead of fearing it. That flexibility keeps them ahead. The moment you stop learning, you start declining. The moment you stay curious, you stay alive mentally and emotionally. The best investment you'll ever make is in your own mind. Skills fade, markets change, titles come and go, but wisdom stays. It becomes your compass in every situation. The knowledge you gather today becomes the foundation for the opportunities you'll meet tomorrow. Every book you read, every conversation you reflect on, every skill you practice, it all adds to your power to lead. Leaders understand that learning is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong journey. It's a daily habit of curiosity and self-improvement. They keep evolving because they never believe they've arrived. They see learning as oxygen for their growth. They seek lessons even in routine moments. They stay humble enough to know there's always more to understand. The truth is, learning changes your identity. You begin to think like a leader, even before you have the title. You begin to act with more awareness, speak with more confidence, and decide with more clarity. You stop following trends blindly, because you understand principles. You stop reacting emotionally, because you understand perspective. That's the quiet power of learning. It shapes who you are from the inside out. So invest in your growth. Read daily. Reflect deeply. Ask questions constantly. Study people, systems, history, and yourself. Learn what leaders understand, that knowledge is not just information. It's transformation. The more you learn, the more you see. The more you see, the more you can lead. That is the real return on investment. The freedom to think, decide, and grow with purpose for the rest of your life.
Chapter 10. Lead your life with clarity and courage. Leading your life with clarity and courage is one of the greatest responsibilities you will ever have. Most people drift through life without direction, reacting to whatever comes their way. They move because others move, not because they have decided where to go. They confuse activity with purpose, but a leader of life moves with intention. They wake up each day knowing what matters and why it matters. They make decisions based on vision, not pressure. They act with courage, even when the outcome is uncertain. Clarity gives direction, and courage gives motion. Without both, life becomes survival instead of leadership. Clarity begins with honesty. You have to face the truth about who you are, what you value, and what you want. Many people avoid that kind of reflection because it forces them to confront uncomfortable realities. It's easier to stay distracted than to sit quietly and ask, what am I really doing with my time? Does this path truly fulfill me? But leaders don't hide from truth. They examine it, even when it stings. They understand that confusion disappears only when you dare to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. To lead your life with clarity, you must define what success means to you. The world will try to tell you what to chase: status, approval, comfort, but none of those things bring peace if they aren't aligned with your values. You must decide for yourself what kind of life feels meaningful. Write it down. Be specific. What do you want your days to look like? What kind of person do you want to become? When your vision is clear, your choices become simple. You stop saying yes to everything because you know what truly deserves your energy. Clarity doesn't come from overthinking, it comes from commitment. Once you decide who you want to be and where you want to go, you stop wasting energy on indecision. Doubt drains more energy than effort. When you're unclear, you hesitate. When you're clear, you act. Life opens up for people who move with certainty. The clearer your direction, the stronger your confidence, but clarity alone is not enough. You can know what to do and still never do it. That's where courage comes in. Courage is the bridge between knowing and doing. It's the strength to act even when fear tries to hold you still. Everyone feels fear. Leaders simply refuse to let it decide for them.
They understand that progress requires discomfort. Courage is not about being fearless, it's about moving forward despite fear. Courage is built through choices. Each time you do something hard, each time you speak up when you'd rather stay silent, each time you take a step forward in uncertainty, you train your mind to trust itself. That's how bravery grows. It's not something you're born with, it's something you build. A courageous person doesn't wait for the perfect moment. They act, learn, and adjust. They lead their life instead of waiting for life to lead them. Leading with clarity and courage also means owning your decisions. Many people waste time seeking constant reassurance. They want everyone to approve before they move. But leadership requires independence. You have to make choices based on principle, not popularity. That doesn't mean you ignore advice. It means you don't depend on it to act. A clear mind guided by courage doesn't need applause to stay steady, it needs conviction. Life becomes powerful when you lead yourself instead of following circumstances. Things will go wrong. Plans will fall apart. People will disappoint you, but when your foundation is built on clarity and courage, you don't collapse. You adapt, you remind yourself of what truly matters, and keep moving. That is what separates those who drift from those who drive their destiny. Clarity also gives you peace. When you know your priorities, you stop chasing everything that looks shiny. You stop comparing your life to others, because you understand your own lane. You measure progress by your principles, not by someone else's achievements. That inner calm allows you to stay focused even in chaos. You're not easily swayed by opinions or distractions because you know what's important to you. Courage gives you strength in moments of doubt. Every meaningful pursuit will test you. You'll face uncertainty, rejection, and failure. But courage whispers, keep going. It keeps you grounded in your purpose when results take longer than expected. People who lead their lives with courage don't quit when things get uncomfortable. They see challenge as part of growth. They understand that strength is developed through resistance. To lead your life with clarity and courage, you must practice self-awareness. You can't lead what you don't understand. Pay attention to your emotions, your habits, your reactions. Ask yourself often, why am I doing this? What's driving me right now? Awareness allows you to steer your life consciously instead of drifting unconsciously. Leaders are not perfect, but they are awake. They know when they're off track and correct course quickly. You must also learn to trust yourself. Many people doubt their intuition because they've been taught to seek permission. But clarity comes from listening to your inner voice. That quiet sense of direction that says, this is right for me, is worth following. It may not make sense to everyone, but leadership requires faith in your own judgment. When you stop doubting yourself, you stop needing constant validation. Courage often shows up in the smallest decisions. It's saying no to something that doesn't align with your value. It's starting over when others would settle. It's being honest when silence would be easier. These moments define the strength of your character. Every act of integrity builds the foundation for a courageous life. Leadership is built not in grand gestures, but in daily decisions that honor your principles. Clarity helps you simplify your life. You stop scattering your energy. You focus on fewer things, but do them deeply. You prioritize what truly moves you forward. You stop trying to do everything because you realize that doing everything means mastering nothing. A clear life is not about having more, it's about focusing more. Leaders who live with clarity and courage also understand the importance of responsibility. They take ownership of their actions, choices, and results. They don't blame others for their circumstances. They understand that while they can't control everything, they can control how they respond. Responsibility gives power. It shifts you from victim to creator. When you accept full ownership of your life, you start shaping it intentionally. Courage also means facing the truth about your fears. Avoiding fear doesn't make it disappear. Confronting it does. Every person has fears of failure, rejection, loss. But leaders don't let fear dictate their path. They acknowledge it and move forward anyway. They know that growth lives on the other side of discomfort. They understand that the pain of regret is heavier than the pain of effort. Leading your life with clarity and courage means you stop being reactive. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop blaming your past. You start making choices that align with your purpose, regardless of circumstances. You understand that courage is a daily decision, not a one-time act. Every morning you choose how to think, how to act, and how to grow. Clarity and courage together create confidence. Confidence is not arrogance. It's trust in your direction and your ability to handle what comes next. When you're clear about where you're going and courageous enough to move, uncertainty loses its power. You begin to see that fear is a signal of growth, not a stop sign. You begin to walk boldly because you realize that progress is built one brave choice at a time. Leading your life this way also influences others. People notice clarity. They feel drawn to courage. When you live with intention and integrity, you inspire others to do the same. You become a mirror showing them what's possible. You lead not by demand but by example. The calm in your confidence gives others permission to rise above their fears. Clarity also keeps your relationships healthy. You communicate openly because you know what you want and what you won't tolerate. You stop settling for connections that drain you. You surround yourself with people who challenge you to stay aligned with your purpose. A courageous person doesn't fear losing approval. They fear losing authenticity. When you live with clarity, you attract those who respect your truth. To maintain clarity, you must spend time in solitude. The world is noisy, and clarity needs quiet. Take time regularly to think, reflect, and recharge. Ask yourself if your life still reflects your deepest priorities. Make adjustments when needed. Leaders don't wait for crisis to reflect. They build reflection into their routine. Clarity grows in silence, where you can hear your own mind clearly. Courage requires persistence. It's not built in one victory. It's built in hundreds of small moments. When you keep going, you won't always feel brave, but courage is not about feelings. It's about action. You may feel uncertain, but you move anyway. You may feel tired, but you push forward. Each time you choose courage over comfort, you become stronger. Leading your life with clarity also means letting go of confusion disguised as busyness. Many people fill their schedules so they don't have to face uncertainty. They hide behind productivity because it feels safe. But motion without meaning is emptiness. Leaders pause. They evaluate. They choose direction before speed. They know that doing less with purpose is more powerful than doing more without it. Courage also means accepting failure as part of growth. You won't get everything right. You will stumble. But mistakes are proof that you're trying. Leaders see failure as feedback. They don't dwell on it. They learn from it. Each setback sharpens your judgment, strengthens your resilience, and refines your strategy. Failure only breaks those who refuse to learn from it. To lead your life well, you must also cultivate gratitude. Gratitude keeps clarity grounded. It reminds you to appreciate progress, not just chase perfection. It helps you see how far you've come. A grateful leader is a balanced leader. They can dream big while appreciating small victories. Gratitude gives strength because it keeps you focused on what's working instead of what's missing. Courage shows up most when things go wrong. When plans fall apart, courage says, "I'll try again." When people doubt you, courage says, "I still believe in my path." When fear screams, courage whispers, "Keep walking." The world doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards those who keep moving with clarity when others stop. That is how leaders are made. Not in comfort, but in consistent courage. Clarity and courage together make you unstoppable. You may not always know what lies ahead, but you'll trust yourself to handle it. You'll make decisions without fear, because you know your purpose. You'll stand firm in your values even when it's unpopular. You'll walk through uncertainty with calm strength. And in doing so, you'll build a life that reflects leadership, not just in what you achieve, but in how you live. The truth is, life will always test your clarity and courage. There will be distractions, doubts, and delay, but every time you realign yourself with what truly matters and take one more step forward, you prove that leadership isn't about power, it's about presence. It's about showing up every day, focused, brave, and honest with yourself. Lead your life with clarity and courage. Know what you stand for. Know what you're working toward. Know who you are becoming. And when fear tries to stop you, move anyway. Because leadership begins the moment you stop waiting for certainty and start walking with conviction. That's how lives change, not by chance, but by choice. Your life deserves to be led, not managed. And when you lead it with clarity and courage, you become the kind of person the world can trust, follow, and remember.